So Texas, good old Texas, they're clinging on to old and outdated laws when it comes to the good herb, even though Slightly Stupid lit up a J on stage with a laser in public at a Texas concert. And then he hands it to someone in the crowd.
Now whose birthday is it in this motherfucker tonight? A very, very happy birthday to you.
But not everyone is so lucky, as just recently we've seen Lieutenant Dan Patrick propose strict bans on all forms of THC, which thankfully Governor Abbott vetoed and pushed back on, and unsurprisingly so, as most voters in Texas want full legalization. Now, Senator Nathan Johnson has introduced 2 bills to legalize herb in Texas, including home grows, 2 ounces per person, 10 ounces at home, and up to 6 plants at a private residence. And he held a press conference breaking down why it's so important to legalize the good herb. So let's hear what he had to say.
The documented surge in THC use by kids and corresponding cases of serious medical harm caused by this unscrupulous marketing demands that we act immediately in the legislature to enact an enforceable regulatory framework for THC. As both the Lieutenant Governor and the Governor has emphasized with appropriate urgency, we do not have the option of doing nothing right now. But let's talk about the inadequacy of the current state of Texas law when it comes to THC. Present Texas THC laws are inconsistent and they're inadequate to the tasks of protecting the public, particularly kids, and enforcing the law. They create confusion, they permit and encourage unscrupulous behavior, and they impede rather than promote safety and law enforcement. The TCUP program, the Texas Compassionate Use Program, which has been expanded and improved greatly in the past session, still receives insufficient support, and this set of bills attempts to address all of these concerns. Why now? Right, there has been a hearing. There is a bill that bans THC in the Senate right now, because we need to have this conversation. I personally have been advocating for decriminalization. I have filed legislation to move possession of small amounts of marijuana from a Class B misdemeanor to a Class C misdemeanor. I've sought penalty parity with different forms of THC. I mean, our policy has been a mess, and I've been advocating to clean it up for a long time, partly because of the inconsistency, but because of the enormous destructive force that our THC laws have been on people and families and communities in Texas, particularly, but not exclusively, people of color. It is time for all of that to change, and this is a moment as people are grappling with the whole issue of THC, whether it comes from marijuana or the plant, its younger plant, hemp. It's the same molecule. And so part of what I want to do also is add some consistency to the law.
Now, just to break down where we are real quick in Texas, there are a number of bills being proposed, especially when it comes to the good herb. Now, some of those bills actually propose to ban everything, all forms of THC, just an outright ban on everything, all hemp-derived consumables. And what this bill will do will ban any product with any amount of THC in it. But what we're seeing are competing bills, because also we have bills which are filed to legalize everything down in Texas. And to that end, that's where Senator Nathan Johnson comes in as he introduces a pair of THC regulation bills. Now, these bills, SB 53 and SB 54, they set clear and enforceable rules when it comes to testing, age limits, business licenses, and all that type of stuff. Whereas SB 54 or Senate Bill 54 ends low-level arrests, supports law enforcement, combating high-level crime, decriminalizes small amounts, allows limited home cultivation, creates a regulated market, sets a minimum age, clears low-level convictions, and funds community oversight. So these are a pair of solid bills which will do some really good things for the community down in Texas, especially considering the fact that SB 54 will legalize up to 2 ounces in person, up to 10 ounces within a household, and up to 6 plants for home cultivation, half of which can be in flower. So if this bill were to be filed and signed into law down in Texas in the special legislative session, that'll be absolutely amazing for the good herb down in Texas. But there's still an uphill battle, so let's go back to hear what Senator Nathan Johnson had to say about this.
During the regular session, senators were presented with the option of a total ban or doing absolutely nothing. Doing nothing was not an option then, it's not an option now, but a total ban, in my view, is neither enforceable nor desirable, nor is it respectful of the rights of individual adults to make consumer choices that Texans rightly wish to exercise. These bills present legislators with an option that is safer because it is more enforceable, and we have a controlled system that is visible and reliable, an option that honors individual choice, makes better use of enforcement resources and taxpayer dollars, eliminates the long-standing destructive criminal justice policies in place today, and increases support for medical THC by promoting Texas's compassionate use program. So we have to address two categories if we're going to get consistent and effective THC policy in Texas. The first is the one that has gotten the most attention, and that is hemp-derived THC products. Our current laws, as you all know, provide no uniform testing, no labeling, no age restrictions. A 10-year-old can walk into a gas station and buy a brain-damaging amount of THC, and that's not acceptable. The result is an industry that markets to minors, delivers products of dangerous and uncertain potency, and operates largely beyond the reach of the law. Marijuana, low-level adult use of the exact same molecule in the same quantities, is illegal if it's consumed as marijuana. Marijuana possession today still accounts for over 30% of our drug-related arrests. We have for way too long been arresting and incarcerating people disproportionately of color while diverting our law enforcement resources away from violent crime. This old, antiquated policy continues to damage individuals and families and communities while unnecessarily imposing tremendous costs on taxpayers and communities and law enforcement.
Now, real quick, apologies about the video cutting in and out. That's from the source from CBS Austin. That's not because of us. But what he raises is a great point, because if there's a lot of money coming in from these arrests which are being made for some of these low-level convictions, we can probably see why there's a reluctance to legalize. Why would you want to cut off a source of income that you're getting from some of these arrests and the prison systems, right? And it goes straight back to what he was saying, because 4 in 5 Texas voters want hemp products to be regulated, not banned, according to a poll. And that's exactly what Senator Nathan Johnson goes on to say, so let's continue.
So we have two bills. The first addresses hemp-derived THC. It's largely built on the work of Chairman King. Many, many similarities. Lots and lots of refinements, because we've had more time to look at it since it was first introduced back in March when it was passed unanimously out of the committee in the House. The principal differences I want to highlight: this is a lower THC threshold. We do not want high potency junk in the stores. Our threshold under this bill is 5 milligrams of THC. It's very strict. This is recreational use. Secondly, the purchase age is 21. Third, I'm sorry, that's not different than Ken King's. But a second difference is there's an advisory committee that Chairman King built into his legislation. We have more specific requirements about what that advisory committee is to do. It's going to biennially report to the legislature with respect to what's happening in the market, levels of sales, what's happening with respect to public health and safety, and make recommendations for future legislative sessions every year.
So we want
to make it clear what this advisory committee is supposed to do. We also changed the tax that's provided in the House version of this bill from earlier this year from an excise tax to an additional sales tax. And the reason for that is excise taxes, while they serve a purpose for something like gasoline where prices go up and down in response to all sorts of things, generally over time the value of an excise tax decreases as the consumer price index goes up, to avoid the erosion in the capital that's generated from the enormous sales of hemp-derived THC products in Texas, which, by the way, I think hit 267 million in the past year. We want to have an additional sales tax so that the value of that money doesn't get eroded. And that the next point is that where the sales tax goes, we want to use it well, and part of the place that we're going to direct it to is to the teacup program for greater education of physicians and consumers and the industry itself. We want more money towards law enforcement. We want more money towards testing. So the revenue that is generated through the sales of legal hemp-derived THC products will be used to make it safer and will be used to further the medicinal purpose of higher concentrations of THC.
Now, you guys may have heard him mention the teacup program, and that's essentially the medical program down in Texas. Now, a lot of people have actually complained about that program, saying it's really restrictive, it's hard to get access to it, and it's pretty expensive, and in so doing, it's actually prohibitory because not a lot of people can gain access to it. So if you're down in Texas, drop it in the comments down below and let me know what you guys think about the Compassionate Teacup program. Is it something that you guys are in favor of, or is it something that you guys think can be improved? And just a quick reminder, if you're getting value from this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support us further, join the ICANN VIP Bean Club or just buy us a cup of coffee. And if you happen to be a home gardener, try the ICANN Organics, use the code LEGAL. It works on the bundle and the beans.
The final thing that's different, and the timing isn't really on our side with this, I don't think we can, as quickly as I'd like to, create a Texas Commission on hemp and cannabis. It's something we've consulted with a lot of leaders in this space that we think is going to lend a clearer vision, greater input, more harmony level of the hemp and of the overall cannabis industry.
Sorry about the
so we
video
have
cutting in and out.
explicitly in the legislative intent that the future legislature, hopefully the 90th, will create that commission to oversee the hemp and cannabis industries. So a couple highlights of the hemp that are common to the legislation that was in Chairman King's bill, that's also in mine. We have a whole complete set of enforceable standards for hemp-derived products from seed to sale, including the production, manufacturing, testing, licensing, packaging, and marketing. We do have that purchase age in common at 21. Again, we have a lower THC threshold, tax revenue directed to support public health, law enforcement, and teacup. Moving on to adult use cannabis. Again, this is the THC molecule. I was thinking about having some graphics up here and showing you the difference between the two molecules, but there isn't one.
So here I think we're moving away from the hemp discussions and moving on towards more recreational legalization discussions. But let's hear what he has to say about this, because this is really important for a lot of people.
So I won't. It cannot be legal, cannot logically be legal and illegal. If you want people to respect the law in Texas, it's got to be consistent. It's got to make sense. And to me, it doesn't make sense that a molecule of THC is legal if it comes from this plant and illegal if it comes from its same plant family that's a little older. That doesn't make sense. And so it is time right now for decrim, finally.
Yeah.
My second bill will decriminalize the possession and personal usage of up to 2 ounces of marijuana.
Bingo.
There will be limits also on how much you can keep at home and a very limited permission for home cultivation. We're not talking about industrial crops for sale, we just mean home use. We waste so much money and divert so many law enforcement resources and impact or cause so much injustice, and we have for years. So one other thing that I want to do in my decrim bill is provide a path for expunction for those who have been convicted of what now would be legal. Because that was wrong.
Yeah.
It is wrong.
Facts.
And it shouldn't continue. So in addition to get rid of the injustice, we now are working towards a more harmonious way to regulate THC products. It will be up to a subsequent legislature to fully regulate THC products that come from a marijuana plant. I just don't think we can do that quickly enough in the session. We're going to need time for pharmacological industry, for law enforcement and administration to catch up. So we're going to decrim now. Next legislative session we'll have,
at least
particularly with the advisory committee's help and the Texas Hemp Cannabis Commission that gets created, a way to make this.
Personally, I think this is a better step than rescheduling.
Absolutely. THC products
if this bill can pass, that's way better than rescheduling. In any
there's anything else I want to add before I want to call.
Now, this press conference by Senator Nathan Johnson was really eye-opening, and it really signals some good stuff for Texas, especially if these bills can actually be heard, be passed, and signed into law. But at that very press conference, one of the reporters asked a really interesting question, and that is, why is it that some of these Republicans actually support the teacup compassionate use program, especially considering the fact that herb is still illegal at the federal level, whereas they're actually trying to ban hemp, which is completely legal at the federal level. It seems like it's a little bit of a misnomer, but let's have a listen to the reporter ask the question and how he responded.
I've had some conversations. We could see this bill come back to us from the House, ironically. Yes, sir.
What do you think is the obsession with the Republicans promoting Texans to get into something like the TICA program that still to this day is federally illegal over the hemp market that is federally legal? And how do you think things will happen with the federally legal thing, tax dollars promoting the expansion of...
Yeah, as if our state laws weren't confusing enough, we have a fairly
great question.
inept approach to THC regulation at the federal level, which is pathetic. We've got every state being in conflict with federal laws. That's also something that has to happen, and it's going to require state-federal cooperation. And I think that the idea that we can't have teacup if we have a regulated THC market is about like saying we can't have Advil and prescription ibuprofen at the same time. So we'll have to work on that. Last question.
So that was a pretty interesting point and a quite valid point, because as more states legalize the good herb, they're still running contrary to federal law, because it seems to me that if more than half of the states have already legalized but it's still not legal at that federal level, then we obviously have a little bit of an issue, and federal law needs to be revamped so that it can reflect the reality of the situation. And hopefully that's something that we see in the near future, and a lot of people actually seem to echo these sentiments, as most folks expect federal legalization will happen before 2028 federal election, which is a good thing. But all that said, let me know what you guys think about this issue. Do you guys think that these bills down in Texas will pass and actually legalize home grows and legalize possession for people down in Texas? If it does, it'll be absolutely amazing. But it's of course going to be an uphill battle, but let me know what you guys think nonetheless. Now, while it might seem like Texas is taking some great steps when it comes to legalization, there's one guy who's secretly spending millions of dollars to ban the good herb in America. If you haven't seen it, check that video because it's coming up right now.